This is a beginner's guide for New World in 2022. I'm making this because of fresh start servers, but also if you're a beginner and you find this, hopefully it'll help you. So generally what happens in New World is you make a character, it'll spit you out on the beaches of Everfall, Monarch's Bluffs, First Light, or Windsward, at which point you'll do a bunch of quests, you'll follow the main story, and eventually you'll find yourself leveling up and doing all sorts of stuff. If you hit the escape key, you can get two different things like the map and stuff. Your character screen, which is where you can spend your attributes. Don't forget to spend these. And different attributes affect different weapons. So, for example, if you're going to use a life staff or a void gauntlet, you want to spend points in focus. If you want to use a sword, put points in strength. Constitution just gives health. It's really important to remember to do that. Also, there's weapon mastery in this game, so every weapon has its own skill tree, and you level it up by using the weapon. You can potentially have level 20, which is max level of every weapon in the game, if you spend enough time using the weapons. So, and also you level them up by just killing enemies with whichever weapon it is. There's also a thing in this game called trade skills. So that's where you do your gathering, refining, and crafting in order to do these. The story now, there's like a revamped questing, and the revamped questing will give you all the tools if you do all the quests that you find and stuff. Once you have tools equipped over in here, you got the axe and the fishing pole, sickle, skinning knife, iron mining pickaxe, or not iron mining, just mining pickaxe, stuff like that. Then you'll be able to gather all these different things, and then you use those materials. You can refine them at different stations inside of settlements, and then use the materials to craft things in order to level up your crafting and also to make things for yourself or whatever. And crafting in this game actually does have an end game, where at the very end game, when you have these level 200, there's a system of getting trophies, and then once you get the trophies and all these things and the gear for crafting each thing and all this crazy stuff, then you could craft what's called gear score 600 gear potentially, or even gear score. It basically goes like I think 595 to 600 or whatever. And then later on, there's a thing I could just go on and on and on. Umbral shards, getting your gear to 625. I'll say that for a gear progression guide though. But yeah, so just be aware of that. There's also PvP in this game. You can toggle PvP on and off by pressing the letter U, but you won't be able to do that until you join a faction. So let's talk about factions. There's 3 factions in this game. I can't really show you accurately. You can kind of see here, this is owned by Syndicate. This is owned by Marauders, whatever. There's 3 factions. People often just call them purple, green, and yellow, which I don't even see yellow on the map. There's yellow. And you'll be able to do this once you level up to, like, apparently level 17. There's 3 quests nowadays over here to do it. I don't know, maybe it's just from you, several, maybe it'll be somewhere else for you, but just look on the map for these when you're level 17. And then wherever they are, you'll be able to do them and join whichever faction you want to join. Joining a faction is not a commitment. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Like, after a certain number of days, you can swap factions again, so you're not totally stuck. But be sure to think ahead if you have friends and stuff that you want to play with, and ask them what faction they're going to join, and try to join the same one as them. Once you're in one, then you can press the letter U, and then it'll turn PvP on, and you press it again to turn it off if you're inside of a settlement. And then you can run out, and anyone from the other factions who also have it enabled will be able to fight you just openly. And then you can also get XP from killing people and stuff like that. Speaking of PvP, there's a big thing in New World, the end game, called wars and faction or settlement ownership. So this settlement, for example, is owned by the Slippery Peacocks on this server. And in order to own a territory, you have to declare war on it. It's a whole process where you have to run PvP missions. So, like, each place has its own person for whatever faction. This one has a Marauder guy, I think right where I'm looking somewhere, and the Syndicate guys in the church, for example, in this one. And you go talk to them, you get PvP missions, you do those PvP missions. If enough people do enough PvP missions fast enough, then it will initiate a war. You can see the territory influence by clicking on a settlement, and you scroll down to this territory influence thing. If it hits 100% for either one, then it will start a war, and then it won't be immediate. It'll schedule it ahead of time, and it'll schedule based on what the governing faction decides to be the time. So whoever owns a settlement gets to decide what time their wars are going to be. So this one, for example, they've decided so at 9 p.m. Eastern time is when their wars are. And if you declare war, that's when you're going to have to fight it. I think like a day or 2 later, depending on the timing of when you declared. Obviously, to do that, you have to be part of a company. So let's talk about companies. If you open up all these different tabs, there's a company tab. This is like, a guild, a clan, whatever, depending on what game you kind of came from. And you can work together with your company to try to get enough influence to be able to declare and then declare war. If there's multiple people who have done it, then, I think it was, I won't say changed, it was just like RNG, basically random who gets the deck, as they used to call it. But yeah, to be aware, that's a big thing in New World. It's a lot of fun, but it's hard to get in a war. But if you do, it's stressful, but it's also very fun to participate in wars. They're 50-on-50 battles where you siege a fort and try to take control of a settlement. Also, this fast travel in this game, you can go from fast travel points or settlements. You cannot fast travel when you're out and about, but you can recall to an inn. Or if you own a house, you can recall to your house. There's cooldowns on those, but it's a great way to return to a point of fast travel when you're out in the middle of nowhere. You'll unlock fast travel shrines by just walking up to them all over the map. You can see them on the map if you want to know where they are when you're out exploring. Also, as you do things in a settlement, you will get territory standing, and then you can buy territory rewards for whichever settlement you want. And these will do different things that will help you out in your journeys throughout Aeternum. So be aware of that and spend them wisely, because as far as I'm aware, there's no way to refund them still in this game. But you also just click this territory standing tab in order to get to it fast. So you open up the map and then territory standing. Also, there's the store up here if you want to buy cosmetics. This game only has cosmetics. It's not pay to win. You can't... Yeah, it's not pay to win. You just cosmetics. Also, you can buy character transfers in here to go to different servers. And also up here is the settings where you do hotkeys and change graphic settings and stuff like that, if that is relevant or important to you. And then the menu where you can unstuck and recall to in and exit the game. Also, it's important to know what these are. So these are the stations. You'll see them behind me. There's, I think this woodcutter, the smelter, the cooking station, and whatever. There's different ones all over the place in each settlement. Well, an easy way to look at them is you open up the map and you click on whichever settlement, and then you make sure to scroll down to here, and you can see what tier each station is at. And that's relevant when you get later on in crafting, because the higher level crafting you are, the higher level station you're going to need in order to craft. So be aware of that. If you can't craft or whatever, if you want to find one, you can just click on each settlement and then see what all theirs are at. If you're at a really established server that has a lot of high population, most settlements will have tier 5 everything though. But newer servers, be aware that you'll have to check different ones and figure out where you want to go in order to get whatever you need done. Also, you can press tab to open up your inventory. It's organized various ways. However, you know, here's your rewards and your reagents and all this stuff. You have an inventory weight up here and getting bags. There's bag slots. One's unlocked at level 10, one at 30, 145. If you get these filled up, it'll give you more weight encumbrance, whatever capacity, which is an extremely helpful thing, and I highly recommend doing that as soon as you can. If you're on an already established server, you can go to the trading post, which is what we need to talk about next if I can jump over this wall, which I can't. So this is an example of the trading post. It'll look different depending on what level the settlement's at, but you go up to it and press by default E is to trade, and then you can look through all the various items in the game. And then you can click this up here and go to apparel, or just click there, and then go to bags and see if there are any bags for sale. They're usually extremely expensive, though. You can make them your own with, I think it was armoring, or maybe it was, yeah, I think was it armoring? Guys, I'm sorry, I don't even freaking remember. It was, yeah, I think it was armoring. Yes, it was armoring. But that's like a whole ordeal. You need a ton of mats. You'll need these tokens that you get from you doing PvP missions and things. So it's up to you which way you want to get it. But if you get a bag early on, it helps a lot. Also, upgrading your tools is really helpful. If you're on an even somewhat established server, you can get the various tools for basically free. And you'll want to get iron. And then when you level up, you want to get steel and do all this stuff. So that way you can gather things faster. That'll also make your life way easier. Also, resources, whatever else, you can go to the trading post and unload them to get more money and then just buy things that you need. In New World, it's very easy. Just liquidate whatever items you have and then buy other things. Like, it's generally the play. If you need something, just go do something else that makes a lot of money and then buy whatever it is you need. It's usually more efficient in most cases. Also, if you ever want to trade with someone, you got to get near them until that little H appears or whatever the default key is, and you press it. You can open up the thing, you can add a friend, invite into a group trade with them. Invite to your company, etc. That's like the menu. In order to do that, you just give it to someone, press H by default. You can probably change that in the hotkey settings, so if it's not H. It literally pops up over their head, though, whatever it is. If you see it, then whatever. But yeah, other than that, another thing that you need to know about for late game is once you hit level 60, there'll be a new thing here called expertise. And that's a whole nother thing in this game. So once you hit level 60, your expertise will basically be like, I forget, 500, 510. And doing different things like looting gear or getting these things called gypsum orbs and stuff, and then using them at certain stations and later, you know, in these places up here, the whatever these are called, outposts, and even also in the settlement of Reekwater and Ebbiskill, there's these weird things that you can go to and turn in gypsums and get casts and then get them to get gear that gives you bumps to your expertise, and there's quests and brimstone stands to give you expertise and stuff. And the point of expertise is as it goes up, I can't see it here, but it'll be right here. As it goes up, it increases the level of gear that you can find when you're out killing enemies and looting chests and stuff. but also more importantly, it affects how strong your gear is. So like if you buy from the auction house gear that's gear score 600, but your expertise is only 500, it won't be 600 when you use it. And if you get your expertise up, eventually it will be 600, but not at first. You need to get your expertise up to use it to the fullest. It'll actually meet you in the middle. So 500 expertise with a 600 piece of gear will give you gear, like the gear will work as if it was 550, like the middle ground between the two numbers. But that's a whole thing late game. But yeah, you get that from doing various things. You can get gypsums, emerald gypsum from leveling up trade skill aptitude levels, and I can't even remember anymore all the different ways to get them. There's like, you know, using some topaz attunement potion and then killing enemies. There's doing like, I don't know, like the dungeon every day or something. I can't remember anymore, guys. Someone's in the comments will be so pissed off at me for not remembering offhand. But anyway, so yeah, that's like pretty much everything you know as a beginner. Like, there's not really much else for me to tell you. I just wanted to give you guys like a quick crash course on what all to expect in this game as a new player. I mean, really quick, like leveling. Nowadays, I think the fastest way to level generally, I might make a leveling guide, but just like the quick TLDR, it seems like just questing is the fastest way. But also, you can get XP in this game from gathering or PvP or pretty much anything. It's just which one's faster than the other. But it does seem like questing's probably the fastest now because job boards got nerfed into the ground. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, hopefully this helped you out, guys. I just want to make a quick beginner guide for 2022 since so many things have changed since launch. Make sure that you guys know what you're doing when you come in if you're a brand new player and what to expect when playing New World.